people of video. We fought a good fight. AlphaGeek did its best to shorten the refresh time, and Sergeant Muffin has fought this battle as well on DiamondClub.tv. But at the moment, we can't beat the lag. And so we start our videos early now, a few minutes before we start the audio podcast. For some, you may think, wow, I get a little bonus lecture from Tom now. That's awesome. Others of you may say, gosh, I wish you would just start the audio podcast right now, and that's why I'm explaining it. Veronica, over to you.
I don't know. What am I supposed to say
I don't
here?
know what you're supposed to say.
I just really want it to be tomorrow right now so I can play Fallout. That's all I can think about. I literally have not been able to concentrate on almost anything else.
By all means, make as many Fallout references during the show as you wish.
Okay.
Let's unleash that.
Unleash it?
Yeah. Let's not cage that impulse in.
I'm so excited. It's going to be awesome.
So if I do the Pip-Boy app, but I don't own Fallout, the game, can I still play the Pip-Boy app's special games? I know there's a crack for it.
I have no idea. I have
right.
no idea.
I'm excited because I'm going to watch this new movie, Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, tonight. For Pretend I'm Dumb About Star Wars.
You're like making yourself a lot of work.
No, I wanted to watch these anyway, leading up to Force Awakens, so this is actually a way to justify it. And it's fun.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay, I think we can do an audio show now. You ready?
I just want you to be happy, Tom.
Thank you, Veronica. I appreciate
want you
that.
to be happy.
I do.
Okay, let me close all my
We have
stuff.
we have an awesome intro from Kome. Kome edited this and sent it to us. Here we go. If you donate $10 per month,
you can
say 1.4 seconds of every single episode is brought to you by you. Head to dailytechnewsshow.com/support to adopt the second I called dibs on the first 2 seconds
of that beautiful theme music.
This is the Daily Tech News for Monday, November 9th, 2015. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me today, Ms. Veronica Belmont, DTNS contributor, host of Dear Veronica on Engadget, and so many more of the things. Soon to be playing Fallout, I hear.
Yeah, apparently it's still Monday. I'm very anxiously awaiting it to be Tuesday, so I can be doing that thing instead of these kinds of things.
As we record this, it is still Monday. So if you hear distraction in the corners of Veronica's voice, no, it's not you.
I'm mentally in the wasteland already. I mean, maybe you thought that already about me, but now you should know it to be true.
Mentally in the wasteland is our first title suggestion. Let's take a look at the headlines. Google announced it will release some of its deep learning code called Tensor Flow as an open source project under the Apache 2 license. The engine can run on a single machine across multiple processors. Developers can make applications for the engine in C++ or Python. Google will also share algorithms for training machines in recognizing photos, handwritten numbers, and in analyzing text. Thanks to Kyle for posting this to the subreddit at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. We're going to talk more about this in our main discussion, but pretty big deal. Google open sourcing a whole engine, not just, Android's an operating system, which seems like a big deal, but that's a mobile device platform versus an entire machine learning, deep learning engine. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, and with Apache too, so that's even more of a big deal. This whole thing is wide open. Of course, they don't. We will talk more about this later, but I think the only thing that's really holding anyone back is not being able to have the hardware infrastructure of Google.
Right, not having billions of dollars at your disposal. Yeah.
You can do it on one machine over multiple processors, as you mentioned, but not quite the same. You can also order a 12-inch Apple's iPad Pro online this Wednesday, and you can find them in Apple stores later this week. November 11th coincides with Singles Day in China, which The Verge notes is the world's largest online shopping day. I had no idea.
It's huge. It puts Black Friday to shame.
A big surprise to me. The iPad Pro will go on sale in 40 countries besides China, including the US, Canada, Australia, most of Western Europe, and Japan. A 32GB Wi-Fi model sells for $799, and the 128GB LTE model is priced at $1,079. That's an expensive iPad, folks.
It's real, but they're definitely expensive. These are laptop replacement prices. I don't know if they're laptop replacement devices, And I need a new iPad. This is what frustrates me is I was hoping there would be a new 10-inch iPad because my current iPad is long in the tooth. And I don't really want a mini because I use it for things like prompter. And yet I don't know if I need to spend $800 on a 12-inch iPad Pro, which leaves me buying last year's model of 10-inch iPad. And then I know this is pattern recognition, but today, first of all, big thanks to Kome for putting together the intro for today's show that was edited together from other pieces and intros. That was fantastic. But I was trying to put that on the iPad to play it. And of course, the iPad couldn't sync and was having problems and throwing errors, as if to say, no, Tom, you have to buy a new iPad.
It's time, Tom. It's time.
Yeah. Well, I'll save some money by not buying a new watch from Tog Heuer.
Oh, I just said you almost got the perfect segue. I said it's time, and you should have said, speaking of time.
Yeah, speaking of time, Tog Heuer announced its first Android Wear watch called the Connected Watch. It's also the first Android Wear smartwatch for $1,500, making it the most expensive Android Wear smartwatch yet. Here come the specs. The 46mm titanium watch is powered by a 1.6 gigahertz Intel dual-core processor, a gig of RAM, 4 gig of storage, 360 by 360 circular trans-reflective LTPS LCD screen, Bluetooth version 4, 802.11bgn Wi-Fi, a gyroscope, tilt detection sensor, microphone, haptic engine, and a 410 milliamp hour battery. Also comes with 3 Tog-made watch designs. Of course, you can get any other designs from Android, and can be customized with 6 different rubber straps. The Connected is available today from Tog Heuer's website and selected luxury boutique stores.
Ooh. Well, it's a luxury brand. It's a luxury brand.
I once owned a Tog Heuer ripoff that I bought for $15 on Canal Street in New York City. It was a very nice watch.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Do you still have it today? Or are you going to pass it down to your children? Or
it lasted 2 years before it broke. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Xiaomi unveiled its second wearable device today, the Mi Band Pulse. The new bracelet adds a heart rate tracker to the original Mi Band's ability to track steps and sleep. The Mi Band Pulse will work with Android and iOS and cost 99 Chinese yuan, or around $15. It will only be available initially in China as part of the Singles Day online shopping festival.
November 11th,
Singles
man.
Day.
Yeah, everything's there. And unusually, Xiaomi's not talking at all about bringing it internationally at this point. I think they're just wanting to focus everything on the Singles Day promotion. But I would assume, I mean, that's one of the things they've been doing is bringing accessories to a broader international market. So I'd assume they would bring this as well.
What are you going to buy for Singles Day?
I'm going to buy...
Are we allowed to buy things for Singles Day because we are in paired couple groups?
I'm sure you're allowed. Yeah, I mean, Black Friday has been infecting Europe from the United States. Why couldn't we let Singles Day come over here?
That's true. Though I feel as though since I do not participate in Black Friday, I should also not participate in Singles Day.
Ooh, just leap over bringing Singles Day into being the hipster who opposes Singles Day.
Yes,
and all the
I'm going to make up a hashtag like not my Singles Day or
so
something.
Over Singles Day
over
already.
Singles Day, yeah. Couples against Singles Day. I don't know, whatever.
Couples against Singles Day. I'm going to buy the new StarCraft expansion because it needs some love from someone. Everyone else is playing Fallout.
Didn't you pre-order it?
I did. I pre-ordered it on Sunday. Yeah. A Belgian court has given Facebook 48 hours to stop tracking people with cookies if they are not a member of Facebook's social network. The cookie is installed when someone visits a Facebook page, even if they're not logged in. Court ruled Facebook needs to get express consent from the visitor to use the cookie in such cases. Facebook has said it will appeal the decision.
Okay.
Facebook wants to track people across different websites that use Facebook logins or Facebook embeds so that they could sell better ads. That's what this is all about.
Track all the people. Track all the people.
That's what they want. They almost have them all anyway.
Pinterest introduced a new visual search tool for its apps and website. You can tap the search tool and select the portion of a pin image you're interested in. Pinterest will then return pin results matching what you selected, which can be filtered further by selecting tags on the pins. And that feature rolls out today, well in advance of Singles Day.
Do you think this would cause you to buy more things? Would it be bad for your wallet?
I don't buy anything on Pinterest.
Okay, so you're not one of the people who's getting sucked into the shopping pages.
Not yet.
Or not even through the shopping pages. I mean, the buy buttons are there now in Pinterest, but like looking at things and then clicking through to the source websites and shopping.
Yeah, I just look at it for the pretty pictures.
Okay, so you're
Pretty
safe
much. Yeah, for now.
for now. This is pretty cool technology, though, being able to be like, oh, I like that lamp, just highlighting it and finding other pictures of that lamp.
I use House for that.
Does that work well?
House. Yeah, it's good for interior design stuff or if you're remodeling, but I haven't done it yet on Pinterest.
All right. Opera announced it will partner with 14 device makers to pre-install Opera Max, the data compression software that you may have used on Opera Mobile to keep your data usage low. Among the partners with Opera Max are Samsung, Xiaomi, Acer, and Hisense. Opera claims Opera Max can reduce data consumption by 50% when applied across apps and can reduce video data consumption by 60% without loss of quality, including Netflix and YouTube. Samsung launched its On series of phones. They're called On, the Samsung On series of phones, with Opera Max in India last week. Saving data.
Saving that data, though.
I would need to get this from my mom. My mom has used 6 gigabytes of data on her iPhone.
What is she doing?
In the past week.
In the past week?
Yes.
What is she?
She doesn't have.
What is she doing?
To be clear, she doesn't have Wi-Fi. So every bit of data she uses goes through that phone's data connection, but still.
Oh, that could be it.
Video. I think she's watching video.
Yeah, because we've got 5 gigabytes on our family plan.
I don't think she has Netflix.
Maybe
she's just watching lots of YouTube.
Oh, Mom. That's adorable.
I need to figure out Wi-Fi. That's crazy.
Yeah. Xbox is sending out its new experience update on November 12th, which is the day after Singles Day, in case you were wondering, which, among other things, includes backwards compatibility for some Xbox 360 games. The full list of 104 titles that will work on the new system was released today. The list does not include some popular titles, but Microsoft says it will continue to add to the list, and you can vote on future titles to be included at xbox.uservoice.com.
Are you excited about any of these? I'm excited about the update in general, but I'm not sure any of these in particular are things I've been dying to play on the Xbox One, like Lego Pirates of the Caribbean.
I already played that.
Rainbow Six Vegas 2. Okay,
yeah,
Gears of War 2 and 3. That's going to be the problem with Xbox 360 is that, there's a lot of arcade titles on here, things like Plants vs. Zombies and stuff like that. Maybe that if you bought an Xbox arcade, you could port over now.
Ooh, Viva Pinata.
Yeah.
Romance Dance Time.
We have
so my thing is that I just don't replay a lot of games. Mm-hmm. So for most of these that I've already played, I don't really need that backwards compatibility. But if the Xbox is your, if you didn't play on the 360 and you want to play some of these games on your Xbox One, that's a nice, buy it for cheaper and it works on your console. So yeah, that's good. Yeah. Cool stuff.
You need a big data connection for that, though, and UK Prime Minister David Cameron has pledged to implement a universal service obligation to guarantee residents the legal right to a connection of at least 10 megabits per second by the year 2020, no matter where in the country they live. Wow. Even in Cornwall or the mountains of Wales. More than 83% of homes and businesses in Britain currently have access to a super fast broadband connection of 24 megabits per second or more, with that number set to rise to 95% by 2017. So it's filling in the rural areas. That's the big issue here. Culture Secretary Hunt promised in 2012 that the UK would have the fastest broadband in Europe by 2015. But according to Akamai's latest report, that distinction goes to Ireland. And Sweden is number 2.
I wonder if that's why so many startups come out of Ireland.
Or vice versa, right? It's like a self-feeding broadband wheel.
I think you probably hit the nail on the head. I think it's probably because there's such a good startup culture in Ireland that the Wi-Fi and broadband access has been ramped up.
Yeah, that helps. Cool. Although you would think that would make San Francisco the hottest broadband market in the United States, and it's definitely not. So.
D2 Phillips submitted the Boing Boing post about a leaked European Commission document summarizing plans for 2016. Among the plans are the idea of creating a copyright interest in links so that any entity that links to infringing material could be liable for infringement themselves. The document was meant to go public December 9th.
Yeah, so the German publishers are really stuck on this idea of everyone paying to view their websites. And not even for like they've gone round and round and round with Google over Google News, where Google says, we're sending traffic to your website. Why are you upset? And Germany's saying, yeah, we also want you to pay for that too. We want you to pay to send people to our website and for snippets and all that. So this seems to be springing from that idea of like, let's make it so if someone links without permission, then we can charge them with infringement.
Yep. Way to go.
Yeah, bad idea. Hey, but you know what is a good idea? Letting us know about stories like this at our subreddit at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com, like D2 Phillips did. Thank you, folks, for doing that. It definitely helps us create our rundown every day and gives us some insight into some unique stories as well. And it's actually a great place because there's more in there than we could fit. Go check it out and find out some good stories for yourself. That's a look at the headlines. Okay, let's talk about TensorFlow. Apache 2 license, deep learning, learns from data to identify similar but not necessarily identical data. So the cats thing was the most famous one that Google did, and that was before TensorFlow, but they taught a machine to be able to tell what a cat was.
Yes.
They could, which, I mean, it's the internet. That's where you start. Pictures, spoken words. They've even done an experiment where they can feed dialogue from old movies in, and then you can carry on a conversation. It will be a weird conversation because it's based on dialogue from old movies. Now, here's the thing. You can do this, as Veronica mentioned, on a single computer with the open source software. What Google does is they run it on a huge data center over multiple computers. And that's the key to this, because this could be tantamount to Google open sourcing their search engine software in 1999, right?
Yeah, so, this is yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no. So basically what they're doing is saying, we will give you the search engine, but you're limited to running it on one computer so that you can't go create your own search engine company out of it. But you can write apps for it in Python and C++, and they're hoping people will develop other languages that can work with it because it's open source. You can run it on mobile devices. Like it's actually capable of being executed on tablets and phones, and they want you to be able to experiment with it and then contribute back. And then Google can take the advantage out of that and run it on their huge data centers and make an AI service out of it.
Well, and I think that's really the key, is that by open sourcing it and by giving lots and lots and lots of very, very smart people the capability of running this intelligence on their machines and iterating on it and teaching it and building on it, means that in the end, Google is benefiting from this knowledge base, from this, disseminated knowledge base of other people working on the product, which only benefits them in the end. I mean, there's really no way that they would suffer from this, I think, other than giving people the opportunity to build products off of this baseline. I think it's really wonderful. I think it's a really cool thing for Google to do, and I'm having trouble seeing the potential downside. I'm sure there are many. But,
yeah, there are other open source projects. So a lot of times when we talk about a single project, people like to write in and say, well, that wasn't the first one to do it. We don't necessarily claim that everything we talk about is the first thing to ever do anything. And obviously Torch is out there and it's open source and is still used by Google's DeepMind.
Yeah, the DeepMind people are still using that, right?
Yeah. There's also Caffe and Theano. A lot of the originators of Torch are at Facebook, and they have their own project there as well. So we're not saying Google is the only one to do this. We're not saying they're the first or the only ones to open source, but it's a big deal when Google, which is by some accounts, not my own, but by some accounts 5 to 6 years ahead of where a lot of other people are with deep learning and machine learning, says we're going to let you take advantage of that. And I think that's what Google gets out of it too, is we think that progress in deep learning will be faster if more people are working on it, and we're letting them catch up by sharing what we know without taking away our business advantage. At least that's the hope.
I think this is really exciting, just because I love the idea of machine learning and artificial intelligence improving stuff that we use every day, whether it's just basic software like calendaring or productivity, stuff you don't really think about needing AI or machine learning, but it does. And it only gets better the smarter it gets. And I think that's what's really intriguing about this, is that instead of one company or multiple companies working on different systems, now we're going to have the ability for anyone to tinker with this and to play with it and improve it. And that's just going to make it, improve exponentially. The
idea that you can create a program that runs on this engine and then distribute it as an app I mean, Google Translate is trained using the TensorFlow software, but then is distributed as an app that you can use on your phone, and it doesn't need to be connected to the data center. It doesn't need to be connected to anything. It runs natively on the platform that it's on iOS or Android, and then you can use it even if you don't have a data connection. That's pretty impressive. Like, there are lots of things that people could potentially make that don't in any way directly benefit Google. They benefit the open source program maybe, but it could create a whole startup section here by doing this. Now, granted, if this were going to happen, maybe it would have already happened with something like Torch, but it doesn't hurt anything. And it's a good license, the Apache 2 license. Unless you're someone who hates the Apache 2 license, then you think it's awful. And there are people who have problems with it.
No, I think this is a good thing, and I'm very excited about it, and I think a lot of cool stuff is going to come of it. Not that cool things weren't already happening. I feel like we're, caveating a lot of this discussion because, yes, there is a whole world of this already happening, but when a big name like Google, gives away the software and the algorithms for free and says, yes, you are limited to one machine, but imagine what you can do once it lives on something the size of Google's infrastructure, hardware infrastructure. Is pretty incredible.
Now, as I always disclose, my wife works for YouTube, which is owned by Google. If there were a downside to this, I would say that Google is going to continue to run the open source project. These sorts of things are generally more trusted in wider circles when you create a foundation to run it, to say, look, the open source code is now run by an independent organization, and we'll obviously contribute people to it, but we're not trying to control it. The fact that Google is saying, no, we'll run the organization too, could make some people hesitant to contribute because they worry that maybe they'll close off the source at some time in the future. And obviously the license prevents them from doing that in some cases. But it does mean that everything's still in Google's hands and running to the benefit of Google. So if you're gonna find an objection, I guess that's the one that I could find.
What happens if I'm speaking from ignorance here, what happens if they do, I mean, the code is already out there under the Apache 2 license, so if they decide to stop giving it away, it's still, what has already been put out is already still free to use, right? They can't take that
exactly.
back.
I don't know enough to really get into the nitty gritty of it, but essentially they can't stop the code that was already introduced under that license from being distributed under that license, but they could stop contributing to the project. Yeah. They could just, they could take all the wind out of it, essentially.
I'm just curious if someone builds a product or a company based on the existing open source code, if Google could do something about that later down the line if they revoke access to it. But I guess they probably couldn't from earlier builds of
no, especially because they're not saying, and you have to use our data center to run the stuff. They are making it an actual self-contained engine. What they could do is if somebody was trying to implement it across multiple computers, they could maybe go after them for that.
Say it's not intended to be used that way.
Yeah, or that your modifications are breaking the license terms or something. I wouldn't even expect them to do that. I would expect them to allow people to say, if you can implement your own software that runs across multiple computers that still takes advantage of this engine, that's fine, because that's what Google is doing. They're saying we're not open sourcing the part that allows it to be run that way. I think it's going to at least attract people to try it, and the idea would be to spark more experimentation and accelerate machine learning. And then we start to get into the worries of the Elon Musks and Stephen Hawkings, which is, are we being responsible in our development of artificial intelligence? And in that case, I think it is responsible to open source this sort of thing so that lots of eyes can see what's happening and keep and ride an ethics check on that sort of behavior.
Oh, so much interesting stuff is happening so quickly. What a time to be alive.
Yeah, if you're interested in this, especially if you're a Python programmer, C++ programmer, tensorflow.org is the place to go to find out more. Our pick of the day comes from Mike, a.k.a. Gadget Chaser. It's based on last week's episode discussion of generations, their names and their general personalities. Also, Mike says, ignoring Scott Johnson's use of the term dirty millennial on Friday. Gadget Chaser writes...
Snake people?
Yes, the snake people. Yes, exactly. Way back in 1990, I read a book that fascinated me and still affects my thinking and views of the world called Generations, The History of America's Future, 1584 to 2069 by Neil Howe and William Strauss. It combines history, which he loves, and sociology, which I'd never really given any thought about up until then, and completely changed my outlook of our nation's history and its future. Their premise is that there are 4 archetypes of generational personalities that repeat themselves in a cycle, and throughout the course of American history has been shaped and the events dealt with by these types being at certain ages during these crises. He says it was amazing and still holds up today, especially when talking about us Gen 13ers. That's the name for Generation X because it was published before Douglas Coupland's 1991 novel, and the millennials, which name they did use, and some predictions about the generation after the millennials, Generation Z. He says, personally, I think of them as Generation GWOT. I haven't read it in a few years, but I think it's time for a reread. Maybe I'm overstating the profoundness of it, but to me, it was profound. Plus, I like being a Generation 13er, but I've learned to accept my Xness. As always, Tom's wife works for YouTube, Mike. That's how he signed it, Mike, aka Gadget Chaser. Yeah, this is a really interesting book, and I think it's one of the books that influenced Douglas Coupland in writing Generation X.
Neat. I'm a dirty, dirty snake person.
Are you?
By year only. I do not. I feel an affinity towards my fellow millennials. I'm very close to the cutoff.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Well, send your picks to us, folks. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. You can find my picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. A few emails before we're out of here. David wrote in and said, I emailed a few days ago talking about how, in my experience, Amazon still practices targeted pricing. On the back of having my email read on DTNS, I heard from Amazon. Be careful what you send us, folks. What? The explanation I received from them sounds plausible to me. Product prices can vary from country to country. When I go to Amazon.com with my browser in incognito mode, I'm presented by default with the United States price. However, when I log in and it becomes obvious that I am in the UK, I am then presented with the price for my region, which may be higher. Anthony from Amazon promised to carry out further investigations. He might be contacting you, meaning DTNS, with his findings. Either way, I'm impressed with the openness and service he provided on behalf of his employers. And also, I bet David feels bad about saying that they still do the adjusted pricing. But it sounds like they don't, although there are different prices in different regions, which makes sense.
So confused.
Anyway. This was all brought about by talking about the Amazon bookstore that they opened up in Seattle, where they said the prices will be same online as they are in the bookstore. I would assume they mean the U.S. prices because the bookstore is in the United States. And someone had asked, well, wait a minute, don't they do the variable pricing? And I said, I don't think they do that anymore. And then David said, wait, I have evidence that they do. And then Amazon said, no, that's not what you're seeing. So there you go. Mike in Cloudy, D.C. said, with the fall of big box bookstores like Barnes & Noble, I think Amazon should stay out of the retail space and partner with local bookstores. My favorite local bookstore, Kramer's in Washington, D.C., has signs in the door threatening to throw people out with Kindles. In addition to being a great bookstore, otherwise they have a bar and cafe, both of which attract customers as well. If Amazon could become a supplier and partner to local bookstores, they could come up with a model to sell Kindle titles directly at the store, or even offer discounts on Kindle versions with the sale of physical books. If people are using bookstores as a showroom, Amazon could at least send a little money their way with a partnership agreement. Nice thing about local bookstores is that they're built for the market and have deep roots in the community. By partnering with Amazon, they could provide a showroom, get access to Amazon's low prices, and maybe finally make peace over ebooks. The store would take on the rent, brick and mortar risks, but get to come up with a business model that brings in customers. Just a thought. Bezos, call me, says Mike. Be careful, Mike. He might.
He might be listening.
Yeah.
Careful what you wish for.
I don't think Amazon has enough self-interest in partnering with local bookstores, as much as I love this idea. I just bet Amazon looks at it and goes, I don't see what we get out of it, because we can sell books all day long. On the other side, I wonder if a local bookstore is going to trust Amazon in any kind of partnership anyway.
Maybe they feel like they don't have a choice. Maybe they feel like they have to get with the Amazon or potentially lose out.
But it's an interesting idea. It's an intriguing idea. Thank you for writing in with that, Mike. And finally, Jan Cuddy in Chile, Detroit, wanted to share this with us. He sent it, Jan Cuddy, I should say he. Jan Cuddy sent it as a pic but it was in the news today, so I thought we'd just read it out anyway. Sound recordings from Edison wax cylinders are being archived. Before MP3s, before CDs, even before LPs, these were the first commercial audio format known as the Edison wax cylinder. The University of California Santa Barbara Library is digitizing its collection of late 19th and early 20th century wax cylinder recordings and has placed more than 10,000 songs online for anyone to stream and download for free. UCSB says there are 2,000 more cylinders yet to come, and it's allowing benefactors to adopt a cylinder if they want to encourage the practice for $60, which will then be used for upkeep and further digitization of the collection. If you're interested, go to cylinders.library.ucsb.edu to know more about their archived recordings. Thank you, Jan Cuddy. Yeah. I love that.
Very cool.
And these are public domain, I would assume. So you could download them and use them in projects, make some newsreels. I don't know.
That's great. I love that idea.
There's lots of opera, lots of classical, some animal sounds. There's an interview with who is it? Shackleton, the guy who went to the North Pole. There's like an interview with him on wax cylinder about going to the North Pole. There's some crazy stuff. There's even some of that crazy jazz music that the kids are listening to.
Wacky jazz.
Yeah, on their cylinders. Well, thank you, Jan Cuddy, for that. And thank you, Veronica Belmont, for joining us. Twitter.com/Veronica. If you would like to follow what Veronica's up to, I would assume most tweets tomorrow will either be absent or about Fallout. Is that right?
Yeah, that's roughly correct. Yes, I do have a podcast recording tomorrow at 4 p.m. for Sword and Laser.
How
but
inconvenient.
Otherwise, I'm going to be engaged. Yes.
So you want me
unavailable.
to put in the feedback, user feedback?
Yeah, if you could just do all the rundowns for both episodes, that would be great.
Sure. Yeah, got that. And folks, send your questions on Twitter to Veronica, #Dear Veronica. Is that right?
That's
Dear
right, yes. Dear Veronica is the hashtag.
And gadget.com/Dear-Veronica. Watch those episodes. They're fun. I always enjoy them.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really
even
do.
the ones you're not on?
Yes, which is most of them. You've been getting like great guest answerers too lately.
Yeah, we have a special one with Mr. John Scalzi coming up.
Nice.
And we had Dr. Kiki on last week. We've had Robert Heron, Patrick Norton, Mr. Tom Merritt. We've had some amazing guests, and I'm always looking for more people to bring on the show. So if you have any suggestions, tweet those to me as well too.
DailyTechNewsShow.com/support is the way I'm able to pay Veronica to be here, pay myself to be here, pay Jenny and Roger to help. That's what makes the show possible. So if you're willing to help us out, go there. And you can give us $1 a month. That's all we ask. DailyTechNewsShow.com/support. Also, Big Jim, one of the ways he wants to contribute to the show is sharing some of his customs knowledge. He works in that industry. So he's been doing a show called Tech in Trade. You may have heard some shorter versions of that I put at the end of the show. He went to the East Coast Trade Symposium and thought there was some really good insight in trade issues from Intel. The chip maker, Intel, as well as the U.S. Customs Office. And he put it together. He's got a 9-minute episode about it. So I'll have a link in the show notes to that, or you can check it out if you're a patron in the Treasure Chest and just go listen to that right there. Go follow Jim, Twitter.com/techintrade if you're interested in that sort of thing. Like, he can really explain this stuff to you. So thank you, Jim, for sending that. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. You can give us a call, 512-59-DAILY. That's 512-593-2459. Listen to the show live Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern at alphageekradio.com, and visit our website at dailytechnewsshow.com. Walking down the street with a baguette tomorrow, we'll be with Patrick Beja. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
We've enjoyed this program.
Why does that turn itself down? It did that to me Friday, too. All right.
All right.
Good show. What should we call
Good
it?
show. Let's find out.
What-
Showbot.
What should we
Showbot,
call the
what
show?
you got?
Show me what you bought.
Show me what you bought. Rick and Morty. All right, let's see.
Yeah, Amazon opened a brick and Morty store. Cool. So what do we got?
Not my singles day. I like that.
What? Not my singles day? Oh, hashtag nice.
Couples against singles day.
Every day is a singles day. If you're single.
Is that what it means? Is it about singles buying stuff for themselves?
From what I understand, it's basically a government-sponsored day to get people to hitch.
To get married. Oh, so you buy something for someone else who's single in the hopes that they'll
and then
marry
hopefully
you.
they marry you.
More couples married.
I got you this Xiaomi wristband for 99 yuan. Will you marry me?
No.
Singapore actually has something very similar. I don't think it's a day, but they have a campaign to get people to hook up.
Well, I'm up. Any of those is fine.
Paying by the link. Wow, there's a lot in here.
I need to pick a fantasy book for Sword and Laser.
For next month?
Yeah. I'm not feeling...
Okay, so here's what I did last time. Because I was like, all right, we need some classics. So I looked for 1970s best science fiction, and I found a bunch of different blogs who created lists. And then I just went in there and I pulled names off of those lists, things that we hadn't read already, or from authors we hadn't read already. So you could try that. And go 80s instead of 70s if you want, or 60s even.
Okay.
So it's not the same decade.
I like best 80s. That's a good one.
Yeah, go 80s. We could put on some leg warmers, play some Pac-Man, read a fantasy book.
Ooh. Tor's got a nice list here.
Yeah, I looked at like 2 or 3. I think I looked at 3 just to get a cross section, and the ones that were showing up on multiple lists. I was like, all right, that's good.
Fantasy books.
That's how we ended up with Time and Again. I don't think I would have ever added that to the list, but I saw it on all the lists. Welcome to Sword and Laser pre-production.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Seriously, I'm gonna get up at like 6 o'clock in the morning tomorrow.
Are you really? Wow, you're that excited.
Play the game. Maybe I'll just stay up all night tonight.
Play the game tonight.
Wait, there's no multiplayer.
No.
No, I'm just wondering.
No.
Why are you so upset?
No.
So angry.
No, I'm not angry.
Because you're not
angry.
Fallout 4. That's why.
I'm mad at you for not being Fallout 4.
Why are you not Fallout 4?
Why are you not Fallout 4 right now? Ah!
I'll play it when
Is not my singles day or couples against singles day offensive in any way that I'm not realizing?
Yeah, probably. I would not do that.
Okay.
I just assume that it probably is.
What
Even
about,
as I said it, I just assumed it was offensive.
Well, it's one thing to say it. It's another thing to title the whole episode.
Should we do Mercedes Lackey? I haven't read any Mercedes Lackey.
Oh, yeah. I don't think we've ever done her, and she's huge. She's hugely popular. I mean, I don't know her size.
She's enormous.
I don't know. She's probably very petite. I have no idea.
Oh.
She's very popular. I'm going to go with Mentally in the Wasteland then.
Okay, I like that.
All right.
I'm biased though. No, we haven't read any Trist.
Oh, yeah. Go Bob.
I didn't buy anything from Apple. Oh, I did.
Well, I knew you could put it up for a vote, too. No, you don't like democracy. I know.
Oh.
You only like democracy when you participate in it.
Yes.
Not when it participates upon you.
Basically, I like it when goes my way.
Yep.
Is that the whole George Bush thing? It's like, oh, Britain, please take us back as a colony. Because people voted against the way I wanted.
I'm all for democracy until people make the wrong choice.
I've seen so many of them. Every election time, you always see like a bunch of those news story comments. It's ridiculous.
TVZ Gon's like, how'd you miss Mercedes Lackey? So even TVZ Gon is like,
I know, but
that's
is
a
this
good
the
one.
right Mercedes Lackey to read?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Well, you could do it that way. Instead of limiting yourself to the decade, you could put up like a few different Mercedes Lackey's titles for a vote.
So many. She's got so many books.
Pick one.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Raj.
Why don't you?
Good advice.
How many books does she have in total?
Like hundreds of books.
So take two 10-sided.
Farts.
What's her best-selling book?
Farts.
No, it's not.
About to
She
say
never wrote
take
a book
two
called that.
10-sided die.
Oh.
Open the window.
That is not pleasant.
Yikes.
The Valdemar books are apparently like
That was one of them.
Arrows of the Queen.
I was looking at Magic's Pawn, Valdemar, The Last Herald Mage, #1.
Arrows of the Queen seems to come up on a lot of lists of what are the best Mercedes Lackey books. What was the one you mentioned?
Magic's Pawn.
Yeah, Magic's Pawn's #2 on most of these lists. So,
Okay. Arrows of the Queen. All right. I see that.
so it's probably one of those two.
I know it was in the 80s, so. Seems kind of like a lot of stuff we've read. Talia, a young runaway, is made a herald at the royal court after she rescues one of the legendary companions. When she uncovers a plot to seize the throne, Talia must use her empathetic powers to save the queen.
Yeah.
It's like newcomer to the court.
Well,
Makes a big difference.
Mercedes Lackey is an antidote to Grimdark too. Like it's going to be a fun fantasy novel. It's going to avoid the like, this is just Tolkien all over again, but it's also not going to be like, oh, I'm tired of gritty stabbing novels. I don't know if anyone's ever said that, but that's
Gritty stabbing novels.
Yeah.
GSNs.
Yes, GSNs.
The Game Show Network.
I mean,
shit
I love Joe Abercrombie, so I am not against gritty stabbing novels. But we have read a lot of them. That's all. And I am guilty on the sci-fi side of putting forth a lot of post-apocalyptic stuff.
I guess I could ask. I'm a baby.
Ask Ellie.
Ellie, what Mercedes Lackey novel should we read?
Which one? Which one?
Meow, meow, meow.
All the things are ringing.
You say I love you, but you don't show it.
See, Gord McLeod agrees. They have their time and place, and that time and place is not all the time everywhere.
I'm just scared that this is going to be too similar to other stuff we've read also, but maybe that's just...
But not
what
recently.
happens.
And also, she's sort of the
Was it
forerunner
not
of...
similar to like Uprooted? Like, was that not featuring a female who gets...
Yeah, but
dragged
it's
into
a
court intrigue?
forerunner of Uprooted. So in some ways, it's kind of cool to be like, all right, let's go back, 30 years and read what was the root of these kinds of novels, because Mercedes Lackey definitely blazed a trail.
All right. You got me convinced.
It'll be different.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the outline seems similar.
It will be different.
And there will be blood. I don't know why I said that.
I don't either.
There will be blood. I don't think there will. I think it'll be fine. Look at that. You're like way ahead now
What?
on picking books.
Well, I'm trying to... You were supposed to fill in your choices, too, on the sheet, and you haven't yet.
I did
But
too.
I haven't either.
What?
Did you? Oh, maybe I didn't look. Did you do that? Oh, good. Okay. Thank you.
Tried and convicted.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm filled out through May.
Oh, you did? Oh.
Yeah.
Honk. Sorry.
Although those are subject to change. I at least have like an idea.
Why this book? Because I say so, Veronica.
Wait, where does it say why this book?
Oh, when you pick a book for the upcoming book reads.
In the Goodreads thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I know. That's funny. I don't remember what I wrote. I think I wrote because you voted for it.
Chose this as one of 3 to vote on. Goodreads group chose this out of the 3.
Out
of the 3, you said.
The
because
3?
I didn't have a chance
because,
to
I
copyright
just want to make sure they didn't miss the first the.
Yeah.
It happens. Jeez. Can't be too careful with articles. Also, I learned a lot of Russian in college, and they don't have any articles, so I feel like I need to throw some extras in from time to time, just to make up the balance.
Can I go on November 23rd? Why is it November 23rd? That's very early.
What? Oh, we need to figure out our Thanksgiving week recording.
Oh, yes.
Because Eileen...
Why is it still on? Oh, you said you wanted it to be on Wednesday.
Because Eileen booked us to go to that museum on Tuesday.
Uh-huh.
But I know Eileen's going to want us to leave on Wednesday. So can we do it Tuesday? This is great video, by the way, I'm sure. I'm almost published. Hey, Gordon McLeod, good job on NaNoWriMo, by the way.
NaNoWriMo.
Nano.
Actually, I want to be maybe. I changed my mind. Maybe.
Call me. Maybe.
Call me eventually.
Call me if you want.
All right.
All right, we're done.
Bye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Fare thee well.
Enjoy the show.
Peace.